Hello to all of our loyal viewers and listeners. This is your host, Greg Hire, FIBA 3x3 Asia Cup champion, gold medalist, and 4 times NBL champion for the Perth Wildcats. And I'm very excited to actually have maybe our very first 3x3 veteran, and that is Cierra Burdick, residing in Charlotte, North Carolina. How are we doing this lovely day?
All is well. All is well. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to talk with you.
No, so I was when Luke, a colleague at the NBL who sort of arranged this, and we've been looking down lists and looking, and it's obviously 3x3. It's just like any sport; it's very current. And then obviously it was looking at yourself, and I'm so excited to hear about your journey because you've been playing since 2014. And give a little bit of background, you're obviously one of the most seasoned 3x3 players in the United States. Won a gold back in 2014, and obviously with the shirt, I think, was something I'm very excited to touch about. Talked with Damon Huffman about, the Force 10 3x3 team. But I want to first talk about, how did you start back in 2014? I just watched a 3x3 highlight clip of you talking about the passion of playing with the United States. I love the competitive nature you spoke about. Trying to win a competition to the bus. But how did it all start in terms of this for you?
So honestly, USA Basketball contacted me the summer in between my junior and my senior year, and it was like all in God's timing because I had just had a rough ending to my junior season, and we had got knocked out in the NCAA Sweet 16 to Maryland, and I was just in a really low place. And I was doing an internship at the same time that summer with Good Morning America in New York. And so I get a call from USA Basketball, Carol Callan, and she's like, hey, we've got this new thing going on. It's 3-on-3. We want to invite you to do a little training camp. Come to Colorado Springs. It'll be you, Tiffany Mitchell, Sarah Hammond, and Jewel Lloyd. We're like, okay, why not? So I get clearance from my internship to go ahead. And we end up going there, practicing a couple times, and then they hold a national tournament. And so they brought in other teams from around the area, and we ended up sweeping the national tournament. And they send us on to Russia, Moscow, to play in the World Championship.
And you traveled ever? Internationally?
I had, because I had played USA Basketball U16 and U17.
Okay.
The U16 was Pan Am, but U17 was Worlds. And so we get over there, and I don't think we fully grasped how big the stage was, or how old am I then? 19 years old. So we're just like, another USA Basketball experience. Okay, the standard is gold. We know we can't come home with anything less, so let's do what we can. And it was a totally different environment than what I had been used to. First of all, it was hot as Hades outside, and you're playing on these outdoor courts, and the porta potties are your bathrooms. So it's just totally different environment than my previous experiences with USA Basketball. And so we were probably the youngest team there. And I remember going up against Ann Waters, and I'm thinking I could be her child. I'm playing against grown women right now. And so that was definitely a different experience. And we were there with the men's team who eventually became Team Princeton, kind of.
Wow.
So it's just full swing how everything happened full circle. So yeah, that's basically how I got into the 3-on-3 world platform, and I fell in love with it instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's made, I've just recently retired from professional basketball, and it's so contrasting. We grow up playing, and you've spoken about, we play 3x3 or 3-on-3 or what, that format traditionally, and especially depending on backgrounds, it's something that you maybe play a lot more than 5-on-5 historically.
Right.
But then when you play this format, I want to talk to you about your very first, how you play, because I know back then they've sort of not changed the rules, but modified it because physicality wise, it's crazy. And so, how was your first experience? You came from an esteemed college in Tennessee, an unbelievable coach, and then you're right. You go into an experience where it's porta potties, outdoor sports, and all this sort of I mean, how was your initial reaction to like, what am I even playing?
It was different. I don't remember um truly sucking for win like how I suck for win now when I play it. So I
Yeah,
don't know if we were just playing it because of maybe some rule changes along the way, that it's just a lot faster right now. Because I do think it's adapted and gotten faster and more physical over the years, and it's kind of just gotten that. That's just the style of 3x3. It's gotten that reputation. So I don't, and maybe it's probably good that I don't remember like how exhausted and tired I was. I just remember it being super, super hot. But it was a fun experience. Like, just again, being able to go up against different countries and different cultures and different styles of play. I knew that that was something that I would want to do long term, and it kind of just fueled my tank on like, basketball has to be my profession. Like, I want to travel the world and I want to meet new people and see new places. And, basketball has the platform to do that. And 3x3 just kind of fueled that even more. I was like, this is a whole new world, a whole new opportunity, a whole new platform. And we kind of just took it day by day. Like, again, we really didn't know what to expect. We didn't have any expectations. So it was just a matter of like adapting as we go. We were like Damon talked about earlier, like trying to figure out what food we can eat. Our hotel room, like it was a smoker's room. So I remember me and Jewel Lloyd were like, the next day we woke up and our throats were like killing, and we were like, what the heck is going on? And I vowed then that I would never play in Russia, because I was just like, this culture, these people, like, I'm not a fan of this. And then of course I end up playing there like 3 seasons ago. Never say never. But it was definitely just to take it a day at a time and win by all means. And that was kind of our mentality.
absolutely. I want to talk about, and you spoke about at the very start, it's like boom or bust if you say basketball, and especially it's a bit different, with the men's team winning their first gold medal last year in the World Cup. But and obviously, and you spoke about it, like when you got there's immense pride, irrespective of what you're doing, whether you're playing traditional 5-on-5, 3x3. I'm sure if anyone plays chess or checkers, when you wear country on the front of your shirt, I think nothing beats it. And so, 2014, obviously you've been playing, and now the full circle. We'll touch on that. I mean, talk to me about that feeling, of wearing that flag across your chest.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like it. Obviously, I mean, for any nation, there's your players. You have so much pride when they're playing the national anthem. You still get chills on your
Mm,
arms, like you're linked arms with your teammates. There's just something about playing for your country and knowing you're representing like where you grew up, where home is. The family that supports you, the friends that are in your corner. Like, you're representing so much bigger than yourself, and I think that's why you take so much pride in it. And you also know that spots are so limited. There's only X amount of players that can say that they wore USA across their chest and played in an international competition, and even fewer that say, I won a gold medal for my country. So when you talk about like stakes like that and just all that you're representing, and the people that are in your corner supporting you every step of the way, it makes it so much more prideful, and so much is more invested, and there's just a greater passion. I mean, as competitors, we already have passion for this game. Like, we just love it. But when you've got Australia or USA across your chest, it's like adding even more ambition and motivation to the whole process and journey.
and talking about the dynamic of that team, obviously winning gold, and you spoke Jewel Lloyd, Tiffany Mitchell, and you were the glue of the team, really. I mean, how did that
Mm-hmm.
dynamic and how did that evolve over the tournament? I mean, sometimes people don't really train it, and I imagine maybe in 2014 you didn't maybe have the training camps that are now like this. You sort of link up, and yeah, you're right. If you've never played 3x3 before, it's a bit of an eye opener, and it's tough
Oh,
because
yeah.
games aren't defined by quarters; it's defined by seconds. Like it
Yeah,
could take 2 possessions and you're down 4. And that's big. So I mean, how did that
exactly.
evolve as the tournament went on?
Um, just over time, like I think the only way to get good at 3x3 is just with reps and games. And you try to put in some strategy, try to put in some transitions, obviously working on your defensive concepts. But at the end of the day, we didn't have a lot of time to prepare. So I think it came to us down to us, using the God-given abilities that we've been given, but also just I feel like we just outworked people, honestly, and used our athleticism to our advantage and also our youth to our advantage. Because we didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I'd be lying to you if I said, "Oh yeah, we practiced for a month." Like, no, that wasn't the case at all. I'm pretty sure we got together for a week and then we were headed to Russia. So, and part of that week was the national tournament that we played in Colorado Springs. So I think we kind of willed our way to win in that one. Because now I look at 3x3 and I have a completely different mindset about it than when I was playing in 2014, because I see the amount of strategy and the amount of film and the amount of how every single possession, like you said, it matters so much more. Whereas in 2014, we were just like, we got to compete and we got to win. And there was like no strategy really involved in it. Okay, we had a few plays, but I think we relied on, a lot of one-on-one. Like Jewel Lloyd, you're a bucket. Tiffany Mitchell, you're a bucket. Like until they start to scout us, let's go with what we know. And it was just a situation like that.
No, awesome. Now, before we move on, I guess to the future years, a little bird told me that during the 2014 World Cup, that someone currently on the show threw down a dunk during a break during one of the between games. Now, it wasn't me, so there's only one other person. So I want to, are we confirming this rumor is true? And I mean, if it wasn't filmed, what happened? I mean,
it is true, and it actually was filmed. And so I had threw down a dunk earlier after one of the just one of the round games, and we weren't playing on the main court yet, but I guess word had spread, like, this girl just kind of threw down a slight little dunk. And so after the gold medal game, mind you, we're exhausted. The commentators like, will you throw one down for us? And I'm thinking, my freaking legs are dead.
Hyping it up.
Yeah, my lungs are gone. I feel like I haven't eaten real food in a whole week. Like, but okay, since everybody's around, we're on the main court, we just won the gold medal. Let me give it a shot. So I think it took me like 2 tries. I tried with a dribble, and I think I banged it off the back of the rim. And then finally I was like, all right, let me take the dribble out and just go off 2 steps. And I just snuck it in there. And thankfully some fans that were in the stands had gotten it on video. Otherwise people probably wouldn't believe it. But that was fun. It was definitely a way to capitalize off the gold medal for sure.
And as an expert in storytelling, as you get children, instead of snucking it in, you're like, it changes. And because if there is no footage readily available, you're like,
I slammed it
in. And then, and then I was windmilling and,
360 between the legs.
Exactly right. Now, we talk about 2014 and it seems, a bit of a hiatus until your next event, correct me if I'm wrong, for Team USA in 2019. And obviously you traveled around the world playing professionally. First, I want to touch on, has there been any noticeable differences? I mean, obviously one, and with, Force 10, the professionalism's obviously been sort of, some foundations being formed. But in terms of the actual gameplay, have you noticed any differences? And then, talk to me about your motivation. I love it. I absolutely love it that there's a professional women's team in the 3x3 format, and so, you talk about that. But I want to ask you about that. How's that all going now?
I think it's just grown tremendously, even since 2014. Like, it's taken so many strides, and the men's side has it's just exploded. I remember playing I remember watching Latvia's teams in that world championship in 2014 at Novi Sad. I remember them, and just like, these guys are good. Like, this is their thing. And just to see that they've kept their same core over all these years, it's like they're that much better now. And I think you see that the really good teams, they keep that core for years because 3x3 is just so much of a trust rhythm strategy game. And the more experience, the better you get. It's as simple as that. So I think as players have been in it longer, you definitely see the game growing, platforms, expanding, more and more people getting involved, sponsorships, buku money involved, on the men's side. Like y'all's purses are ridiculous. I'm hoping, praying that the women can get those purses, one day. And that's kind of what Force 10 is about, is just kind of like starting this platform to where not only women in America, but maybe being a front runner, like in the world, because right now the U.S. is behind. Like, we're just going to keep it 100. The U.S. is behind in 3x3. And I think USA basketball is trying to play a little catch up, but there's years that we have to kind of catch up on. And so Force 10, I think, has done a really great job of just kind of introducing the way this can be handled, and almost like introducing potentially a new platform for women to play on in the States. And then they can see it, how it can grow internationally. But to answer your question, I think there's been so much more strategy, and the speed and the physicality of the game has only increased over years. And like my motivation, I think a lot of it, I find that Force 10 has given me like so much hope, and just being able to be the first women's professional team in the States. And nobody will be able to have that title again. Like, Force 10 is the first 3x3 women's US team. And so just having that title and having that responsibility, like, you want to be able to push that as far as it'll go and create more opportunities for young women who want to play this game for as long as they can, because God given, I'm playing this game till the wheels fall off. So I want other people to have that opportunity and to be able to see the world and just see where this game can take them. And I think that is my motivation alone, to just be a part of a bigger picture and a bigger platform.
No, absolutely. Love that and respect it immensely. I think you're right. Like, I mean, we obviously play the game the traditional way. But sometimes, like as well, you play for that so long and you need that little bit of a spark or something to just like give you not hope, I think just refresh you. And I think, you're right. Like, you guys are being innovative, laying a platform that's going to hold something for the future and pave a real big way. I mean, how did that even start up? Like, I mean, I spoke to Damon and that connection with the Seattle Storm and the ownership group. I mean, how did you even get into the Force 10, I guess, lineup in a way?
I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I just know that they contacted my agent, and then my agent contacted me, and the rest is history, man. I've been so thankful to just be around Alana and Damon. Like, I call them mom and dad, even though they're closer to my age than that. But D, we call him dad. I mean, he's just poured into us, and he's a feminist, and we love it. Like, that's so badass in our opinion, because he and his wife are just creating such an amazing opportunity for women and for 3x3, and they want to see it grow, and they want to see it grow in the right way. And the Seattle management, for them to come on board, Alana literally just walked in the boardroom and pitched this idea to the only female ownership in the world. Like, Seattle Storm, first of all, hats off to them for being that, and hats off to them for taking this idea and seeing how they can be the first in something and help it grow for women, because they are just about women and woman empowerment and creating more opportunities and more platforms, because we are behind, and even in the rules of FIBA, like, women are just at a disadvantage. And Alana and Damon, they filled us in on all that. And so that made us want to buy in even more. So they called my agent. We got linked up. Next thing I know, I was flown out to Seattle. We had a training camp. We were sitting into a boardroom. They broke everything down for us, why we were here, what we were doing, what the goals were, what the objectives were. And then we had our training camp, and we started our Red Bull circuit. We weren't able to go outside the country, but we got quite a few tournaments in with the Red Bull and USA basketball collaboration.
Wow, that's incredible. how's the, I guess, I mean, you're talking about opportunities. There's opportunities arising. I think that's still a long way to go. But I mean, we saw that the women's series for the first time had, I think it was 8 World Tour events. You still hold ambitions to represent America at an international level. I'm sure it is. But I mean, obviously the Olympics being postponed. I mean, how's that for you?
I think with the women's series coming into play, that was huge. It's one step in the right direction, but we would like to see more teams be able to come from each country. Basically it's only, each country sending their own national team, and I think it has a lot to do with money. Like at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to that, the finances. And so it'd be nice if, we could eventually get to a point where it's like the men, where there's multiple countries sending multiple teams. And the platforms and the purses are growing on the women's side. Like, I think that's the goal. And until then, we'll just continue to, do what we can here stateside. And if USA Basketball does decide, to send some pros instead of college players, I'd love to get that call from Carol. I think she knows that. I love playing 3x3. I love wearing USA across my chest. So any opportunity that I can get to do that, it's definitely something that I would capitalize on.
Sure. She's got a Tennessee link though, right?
Carol?
Yeah.
No. She's the head of USA Basketball.
Oh, so who's the women's coach?
So you're thinking about Pat Summit, I believe.
No, Pat Summit. But then who's taking care of women's basketball? Or is that? And no, who's taking care of like the under 19s or 23s World Cup team?
Oh, Kara Lawson. Lawson. Yeah.
And she's not Tennessee?
She played at Tennessee. Yeah, she played at Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm like saying that's in the back pocket. You should.
That's
like,
my fault.
Yeah. I was like, you should be saying, "Hey, hook us up."
Right, I know it. But if you know Kara, like she's so stoic. Like there is no like Tennessee connection. It's just like pure business with her. Like, oh my gosh, she's so professional in every area and aspect of her life. I respect it, but there is no like, hey, Kara, look out for me here. It's none of that.
I absolutely love that. There was a clip that came up. She spoke about the pride of wearing America and USA, and I think it resounds with every athlete that gets to play for their country. And she obviously shed a few tears. It was good to see vulnerability, but I think an immense pride. But it's good. We touched on a little bit more, and I think it does come down to financial. I spoke about it with Damon. Like you, even in Australia, you are able to attract high quality talent due to money. Is there anything else you think in terms of the junior pathways? I mean, like for a junior up and coming in, I try and say this, especially even in where I reside, people see 3x3 as a competition to 5-on-5, where I see it as a supplement. Like it's an alternative training method. Like in 5-on-5, you're a role player unless you're a star. Like, I mean, at a professional level, I talk about, I played for 10 years and I made a living off it, but I was great at playing defense and I needed to knock down a consistent jumper, but kind of pick and rolls I did in 4 years towards the back end of my career, I counted the back of my hand, right? And I embrace that. But that's why I love 3x3, because you can't hide, you might have a role, absolutely no doubt. And as you said, Jewel Lloyd's a bucket and you give her the ball till the well dries out. But talk to me about that, like even as a coach, as a player, junior that looks at it, and I think they take away from the physical aspect, sometimes that's a deterrent, but I think you use that to your benefit. But I mean, have you seen that even translate to 5-on-5 and that's helped your game? But as a junior, maybe thinking, I do want to try this out.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I don't think anybody should look at 3x3 as competition to 5-on-5. Like they're two completely different games, but one can help you prepare for the other. And, likewise. But I will say you're completely on an island with 3x3. Like I think back in the two that spoke earlier with you last week, they were hitting on it like on all cylinders. Like you were out, you've got to be able to do everything. You've got to be able to make plays. You've got to be able to hit down, knock down jumpers. You got to be able to slash to the rim, and you got to be able to defend. If you can't defend, there is no help side really rotating. I mean, you're completely on an island. So, and then the cardio aspect of it, it's another level. There is there's like no elliptical or treadmill or track that can get you in shape for 3x3. And so if you're talking about you just want to get in some great 5v5 game shape, like play 3x3. And I don't think Damon touched on this, but like Sue Bird is using this 3x3 as a training for her 5v5. Like,
Wow.
so if one of the best, you know, one of the legendary GOATs basically is realizing the benefits of 3x3, like I think the juniors should definitely realize, like, you know, this can really help me elevate my game, like not only skill wise, but cardio and conditioning wise.
Absolutely. And until you experience it, you can't appropriately define how different it is cardiovascular,
Oh,
physicality wise. I mean, it's a funny story now. I look back at it. I just won a championship, and I had retired, so I had obviously enjoyed myself immensely, as you do. But got called into a training camp, and that was like, I remember getting a phone call in the change room. Coach said, "Are you in?" I said, "Yeah, lock me in." And then 3 days into enjoying myself, I was like, "What have I got myself into?" And then a week later, the very first 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to have to remove myself from a few drills just to, but like you can't. And even that's like, but that's the thing. I was like, I've never been challenged so physically and mentally, that it sort of was like, I love this. And it was crazy. Like in terms of, you'd get done with a session and then you have 5-10 minutes, like, all right, let's go again. And you're just like, yep, love it. Like, and even people say to me, like, I've had a few strength and conditioning coaches say, well, you know, how do you want to prepare for it? And I'm like, I get 10 people to try and smash you around and then start shooting. Like it is like, but
really,
it is awesome. I want to, as we finish on the last, it is brutal. It's a good thing. I want to touch on the last thing and then we'll wind up. The pedigree in your family. Your great-grandfather played in the NFL for the Chicago Bears. I mean, surely that allowed you got those physical traits for the 3x3 world. But I mean, talk to me about that, the family pedigree and that sort of stuff.
It's actually funny. I never had a chance to meet my great grandfather, but he always comes up in interviews and, you know, things like this. And it's pretty cool because I'd taken an immense amount of pride in my last name, Burdick, and I love my grandparents to death. They've been with me in my corner every step of the way, and my papa he's always just in my corner, you know, giving me free advice and you know, just little nuggets along the way. And so his father, played for the Chicago Bears, won the world championship. And my grandfather was actually around 7 years old when he lost his dad in a tragic train accident. And so just to kind of carry on his legacy in athletics, it's pretty neat for me. And I think it's also really special for my papa, you know, to see his only granddaughter accomplish some pretty amazing things with USA Basketball and the University of Tennessee. And now in my professional career, to know that, you know, his dad did it and now his granddaughter is doing it. And just the pride that my grandparents take in me and the love that they show me every step of the way, you know, it makes like every hard workout, hard practice, you know, long night, early morning, like it makes it all worth it. And so I'm grateful, you know, for him passing along those athletic genes. I think it might just be me and him in the family that only have athletic genes. Because neither of my parents played. Like my mom's not athletic at all. And my dad, he does triathlons, but he didn't start doing that until he was like 50 years old. So I was like, where was the first 50 years of your athletic life? But no, it's awesome. And I actually have the watch locket that my grandfather was presented when he won the world championship. And so that's a pretty cool little memorabilia, I guess, that I have from him. And it was gifted to me from my grandfather when I graduated. So pretty cool. I'm definitely grateful that I can kind of carry on the Burdick legacy.
No, absolutely. No, well, thank you again for your time. It's been absolutely refreshing to speak to you. And one, obviously, I guess getting throughout this sort of podcast series and is to getting a better insight into Force 10, which I think is pretty special. I think it's going to force other countries and other organisations to do the same thing. So I can only congratulate you guys and admire what you guys are doing. And hopefully we see you in Australia. I know the Australian girls would love something similar, and hopefully we can host you sometime. But on behalf of the 3x3 Hustle team, really appreciate your time and giving us a little bit of insight into your life.
This has been great.
So, but thank you again. And for everyone else, thank you for tuning in. You can hit us up on 3x3 Hustle on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But thanks again, Sarah. Take care, and hopefully stay in touch.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.